Can we? Okay.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to our panel in the Maze of Consciousness, AI Augmenting Creativity or Diminishing Originality. My name is Nira Bozkurt, and I'm honored to introduce you to our panelists. This is Pablo Nuñez, an audiovisual director and artist who pushes boundaries through the use of innovative technology. This is Niels Putman, film critic, chief editor of Cod Film Bize and Talking Shots, festival curator and programmer. This is Alina Manolache. She's a filmmaker and a professor and works at the intersection of documentary and experimental cinema. This is Antanas Skučas, film director, animator, and professor who created 2 AI films, 1 short movie and 1 feature-length film. Welcome. So, today we delve into how AI is reshaping creativity and the filmmaking process. To start our discussion, I would like to share a perspective of someone who runs a tech company. I recently read on LinkedIn about Sora. Sora is an AI text-to-video generator producing realistic cinematic images with realistic-looking actors. So, the current cost of cinema. Creating a 120-minute Hollywood blockbuster typically requires a staggering $200 to $500 million. Enter Sora and a €40,000 H100 graphics card capable of producing 120 minutes of video per day, drastically changing the game, even if it takes 300 days to achieve a final result, with each take requiring 300 attempts. The production costs become laughable. I'm sure that after this phase of artificialization, we look back in amusement at how we once tolerated such effort and CO2 production for film sets and crews, just to produce a 120-minute movie within 2 years for $200 million. This statement not only highlights AI's potential for innovation, but also underscores the need to discuss ethical boundaries, including copyright, risk of plagiarism, and its overall impact on our creative industry. So, Antanas, what are your thoughts on this quote? Where do you see the most significant impact on innovation, and what are the ethical implications of AI?
So, in my opinion, that they said it's kind of true, but it's also false, because the material you get out of a Sora E, you don't know how much control you will have or how you will use that and how you will make the movie. So you don't have at the moment much control of what you get out from artificial intelligence. So you can say that you can make fast, but you cannot make, at least now, Iron Man movie or any Pixar movie. And also the quality which you get, it's still not Hollywood type quality. Of course it will change in maybe near future, but we don't have the same quality on screen which you would get filming real people, even if it looks good on this short movies which they shared, but it usually called an AI cherry picking, when you pick up small amounts of good results to show how good it is. It would be good maybe after some time, but now it's not, and I know from inside some stuff that it's not working as it's shown on this advertisement, and it wouldn't work when they will open, it wouldn't work like they advertise. So because it would be not one minute clips, they say, that it would be shorter and all other problems.
But what if Sora is good as they hope? What is going to happen then?
So we also talked about this much, but in phone we have camera which we can use to make a film, and we have quite good films made with iPhone. So this is another tool which could be maybe more accessible for more people, but anyway, some aspects of cinema should be as they are now, to make good movie, to find good story, even if it's AI generated story, but you still need to choose one story which you need, would have enough where you should put enough time of yours to generate another step, the movie, and so on. So it's still not. It sounds good or not good, but but it's not true fully yet. And
This quote also shows what tech guys like him expecting to have in a couple of years to save money, to produce with a prompt, and in 1 year instead of 2-3 years. But also, that means for our creative industry that we are going to lose jobs, not only the creatives as itself, also the whole technological supplier. And this is, I think, a very important ethical question. Are we ready for that? Okay, Alina, considering the advancements in AI, such as the capabilities demonstrated by tools like Sora, what are the most significant impact of AI on creativity, on the filmmaking process? And what poses the greatest threat to the creative industry as AI becomes more integrated into these processes?
Thank you for your question. It's interesting how historically we've always perceived new technology as a threat. For example, in the 1800s, when the photographic apparatus was invented, there were two positions towards this invention. One position was one of fear, and the other position was a position of curiosity. So painters who were active at the time were afraid that their jobs will be stolen by the photographers with just a push of a button. Whereas other painters could see this as an aid in their work and could integrate this new technology in their work. They could document the light, they could go location scouting, they could paint in the studio, they didn't need to go outside to paint in rain or shine. So they were able to see the benefits of this new technology at the time. And I think it happens exactly the same today with AI. We can be fearful of losing our jobs, as for example myself as a filmmaker, I can be fearful, or I can be curious and open to see how it could help me in my work. And I choose to be in the second group. I choose to be open towards the use of AI in my work. And that doesn't mean that it changes my work completely, but some parts of it can be improved and upgraded, because as a human being I am totally prone to become repetitive myself. In my process of creation I can become manierist. Every film can be similar to my previous one. So I think by having these technologies in our lives, we can also wake up a little bit and see that we need to stay alive in our artistic process and upgrade ourselves. I think it forces creativity to become even bolder and even more interesting.
Yeah, this is the potential for innovation. And what do you think about the ethical boundaries, including copyright and risk of plagiarism?
I think it has to be regulated for sure. At the same time, no artist is a blank slate. So we don't create from nothing. We have influences, we have seen films, we have studied art history, we have a background. So even without AI, we are still copying other artists, and that plagiarism? I don't know.
Interesting question. Yeah.
Everybody's a DJ nowadays. It's nothing is original, really. I mean,
What
It's-
do you think, Antanas, Niels, Pablo?
It's the book called Still Like an Artist. So basically, it's in some kind we have the same detail. It's still like we steal from art history or influence to learn something. So it's not a problem, but quite similar to us what we did.
So you think it's not stealing other people's work?
We talked, it's
Yeah.
for example, the style of artist is not copyrightable. If you know, the maybe composition is copyrightable, the idea, but art style itself is not copyright. So even if you copy like art style of it, you don't copy the work itself.
It's an interesting thought. You think it's more copying a style instead of copying words or I don't know
Because it's
characters.
So in this Steal Like an Artist book, it's if you steal from many, you are original. If you steal from one, you are copying somebody. So
Yeah.
in that case, you have mix of really different pieces. And if you would look what is the artists who say they copy my style, they usually talk about this visual details which make them distinct, but this composition might be like new. So it's really complicated to know.
What about voice synthesizing or cloning? For example, if you can use my voice through AI, this is my voice and it's not copyrightable at the moment, I think in no country. So what do you think about voice cloning or synthesizing?
So they actually, when they make AI, for voice cloning, they find out that there's not so many voices. We think that we are original, but this is our accent or language pieces, but the voice themselves, there are only few voices, so it's even impossible maybe like
To copyright it? Oh, very interesting. Never heard about that.
At least that what I read, yeah. So, but it's maybe it's only few voices and that's it. So it's
Yeah, that's right. I have a couple of people in my family who sounds exactly like me.
Are they AIs?
Hopefully not. Nobody knows. And Pablo, considering the advancements and the capabilities of AI tools, such as those highlighted in our introductory quote, how do you view the role of AI in driving innovation within the industry? Furthermore, the quote touches upon sustainability and the democratization of filmmaking. What is your perspective on these ethical dimensions, particularly or how AI can contribute to more sustainable and accessible filmmaking process?
It's a big question.
I know.
So first thing that comes to mind regarding the first part, I think when it comes to industry and driving creativity and implementing AI in this process, I think it's good to when we see the different roles that different people have in the film industry, we need to think of how do we measure success now in terms of metrics, or what are our metrics for success. If you're a scriptwriter, you want to make a good script. If you're a producer, you want to make a good production. If you're a director, you want to make a a movie. Well, it's very subjective, but more or less in the side that you direct something that maybe looks good, that has a certain quality from the side of direction. So if you normally we talk a lot about how people is going to lose their jobs and all that. If you have a scriptwriter who wants to write better scripts or faster scripts that keep a very high quality, then AI could be a tool that somewhere in his or her workflow could work. It's different if you give a producer a tool for writing scripts, because the metric of success for a producer is not to write a high quality script, is to make a successful production, and that successful production may involve to cut in costs or many different things. If you give an AI tool to a film director and then you have as a result like Sora-like images, I mean, let's think of Chinese Marvel-like productions that they have all this CGI that at some point is just unbearable. And those productions, they don't work, at least in Hollywood. We still make the Marvel movies that combine CGI, that have the actors, and they cost millions and millions of dollars, because we don't want to have the movies that are only CGI. And I think that a good director wouldn't like to would measure success in relation to that quality. So maybe Sora wouldn't be the final, wouldn't be the ultimate tool that will replace everything, but maybe would be some kind of element somewhere in between. So that's about the film industry. About sustainability. So some days ago, I think just like last week, there was I believe that is a first paper that has been published about the environmental impact of AI compared to human production and in audiovisual in the arts. It was published in the journal Nature, and I just read some excerpts, and the final conclusion they make is that producing things with AI, either if it's image generation or if it's text generation, has a much lower environmental impact, especially in the CO2 footprint, than human production. Now this is kind of very debatable, because how do you measure that? And the way how they measure is, well, how much CO2 and what is the environmental footprint of having a human being alive for a year, and compared to having an AI, and what is the environmental impact of training this AI and then to make certain amount of outputs. So it is debatable, but I would say that there's one point that I didn't see that this paper was touching upon, and it's the scalability and the accessibility that we have to these tools. Because now, if you make movies, if you do animation, you don't make like 1,000 in a couple of days. And if you have like a very professional piece of software that requires an expert to operate, and the license costs 1,000 euro per year, you don't have everybody at home in a Discord chat like making 1,000 of them. So the question about quantity, it also should come in evaluating this equation of environmental impact. We are maybe these tools, they have a lower CO2 emission, but we are using them way more than the way how productions are being produced today.
Yeah. Related to what you said, because related to Marvel movies, Marvel, for example, is a big IP grown in, I don't know, 100 years. So I think it's very difficult to compete as a Chinese film company with this kind of IPs. I think, and you break it down in different parts of filmmaking. In general, the dream of companies like OpenAI is, in fact, to have a text-to-video tool which can produce really good artistic pieces, artistic cinematic pieces. So I think this is one point. And I think producers want an award or money from a production, to be honest.
And to have more, to make more.
To make, oh, do you think? Maybe. Yeah, it's a, hopefully. I like this idea. So I think AI will replace people. And I think a lot of people are going to use it. And this is that sustainability point. This is really important for all of us to see that when we use AI to be responsible for that. So it's really interesting what we are going to see the next couple of years.
I mean, there's a lot of roles that are probably going to, there's going to be less demand, that they're going to be replaced. That's for sure. That happens when there's every new industrial revolution. I mean, coal mines are closed now, and
thank you.
yeah. So that's a fact. What I do think is that first of all, we see a lot in the news about these new tools, and we have to remember that this is all part of the Silicon Valley narrative. And it's very strong, but we don't need to fully give into it. Because AI, the way how it's being developed right now, it is a tool that could be used also to highlight different narratives. Something that I find fascinating, and I think that many people find fascinating about AI these days, is that these tools, they can also can make funny mistakes, right? Like you say people playing volleyball, you get an image and they have 20 fingers, and that's funny. But what's underlying that? What is so funny about that? And what I think is that when you see that this AI, this other entity, made something that is kind of human, but it's a bit silly, and we talk about a lot about the AI, like the AI as if it was an alien, like something that is not human, and it's because and what is really the AI is a bunch of numbers and statistical indexical calculations. That is the AI. And then you put a hat on it, and you give it a human translator, and then you have ChatGPT, you have Midjourney, and all those things. So AI can help us to translate into a very human language manifestations of the world around us. Now we do it with the AIs, with these models. But if we try to think a bit beyond the Silicon Valley narrative, we can use AI eventually to have conversations with a river. We can have we can talk to birds, and of course, in the process of translations, there is a lot that gets lost, but it is a tool that could help us to become more aware of our environment and to empathize more with our environment, if we assume that we humans only care about humans. So if the world speaks to us in a more human language, then maybe we can empathize more. And that's one possible other use and narrative that is not the narrative of making everything more productive and cheaper with AI.
Maybe you should do the marketing for Silicon Valley. So Niels, considering the emergence of AI tools like Sora, which can produce realistic moving image from a text input, how do you foresee such technologies impacting the way you measure and evaluate film submissions? Are these innovations going to change the criteria you apply when creating films for festivals or reviewing them critically?
I think I'm a bit of the oddball in the group because I'm not a filmmaker and I don't use AI, not even just like in real life. I have never used even ChatGPT. So all of the things, I'm not also that worried per se, though I am a little bit. But I have difficulties in like trying to label whatever gets produced by AI as art. Because you mentioned OpenAI and whatever we give them, the output will, and you labeled it as artistic pieces, and I find it very difficult to look at those things like those images as art. So in terms of curation, I remember for one festival that I worked for in the past, we did get a submission that was made by AI and we discussed it. It didn't get in the competition in the end because there for us it was difficult to understand how it was made. Maybe because we lacked the knowledge, probably a huge part of that is true. And it was simply, we were wondering, okay, how much is the human impact in this?
Can you describe this project to get
it was, I don't remember the tool that was used, but basically it was a sequence of very fast images that all had like a visual link with each other, and it created like a 12-minute film that was visually stunning to look at. But we were like, okay, if this filmmaker just gave like one prompt and the tool made this video of 12 minutes, then we were wondering, okay, but can we then consider it, the filmmakers, like the film, does it belong to the filmmaker or does it belong to the tool? And I guess, for instance, when you were talking about Sora, how does it work? Can you explain like very briefly? You just give a prompt and you get an image back, or?
Not an image, a video.
A video, yeah.
At the moment, it's capable to produce a 1-minute video, and I tried the beta version, and it's really amazing what you can get out of it. I don't know when it will come out for consumers. And
yeah, I remember that I saw a thread on Twitter or on X with those videos, and I was also impressed by how realistic they look. And I think that is interesting, just from a technological point of view, but from an artistic point of view, I'm like wondering, is this what we need and is this what we want? Because you also mentioned, I wrote it down, like the realistic looking images and the quality of that, but what quality exactly are we talking about?
Image quality.
Image quality, yeah.
Go back a bit. So basically, you don't. If you make film, you usually don't make one prompt and get a film. Usually, you make maybe 5 hours.
At the moment.
Yeah, 5 hours of video, and then from that you.
Oh, so you create a video first and you give it to the.
So first you create. Usually, what you do, and Sora, I think, did the same. They created a lot of videos, maybe 2,000 videos, and they choose the best which could represent the technology. It's more like documentary at this point, now than filmmaking, where you have exactly script and you exactly know what you have. So at the moment it's...
You mean working with Stable Diffusion and Midjourney?
With all AI at the moment, that's why it's not so good to use platforms like Sora, because you are limited how many video you can do. And if you do it on your own computer, you can make hours and hours of video and then search what works. So it's the process is more like documentary again, because you have a lot of material, and from that you pick something, and not one click. Yeah, it could be like we'll talk later, but usually it's not one click, one film.
I mean, it is a bit like fiction because actually you do many shots of the same scene.
Yeah.
No? So then you select the best shot.
So how sounds this for you? Is that more
natural?
And
then it becomes a matter of then the craft is in how you prompt and how you work with the tool, and I think in itself that's interesting, but I'm not sure if personally, I mean, I'm also like very much into like analog film and all these nostalgic things, so this is very far away from what I personally enjoy. So maybe that's why I'm also not really that intrigued and haven't used ChatGPT, for instance, so far. But I mean, yes, I think it's mostly interesting for me now also to see it as a cultural phenomenon, and also see what the AI tools produce and what that says about us, because it is obviously we feed it. So yeah, I think for now that's where my interest lays, and not necessarily to create art. And I'm just talking about the creative industry. I know that for a lot of different industries it's doing magnificent stuff and it's important. Just talking about film and art, let's say, so far. That makes sense.
Okay. A lot of journalists are using ChatGPT, and Axel Springer, for example, in Germany, they reduce their stuff and they use AI for their articles, news articles. And it's very interesting because they also work with OpenAI for the input. And OpenAI, ChatGPT, can tell you now what Axel Springer thinks about something else. It's very very crazy.
So it's an online journal that.
Axel Springer is the biggest press house in Germany.
And they use AI for their articles.
And I think they are investors of a couple of media houses, productions all over this world.
And so, do you know if people lost their jobs?
Of course,
yeah.
Of course, they paid a lot of money for them. I think they gave compensations, huge amounts of compensations for this. But they reduced their stuff. It's unbelievable. But nobody likes Axel Springer, so everything's okay. They do fake news without AI. So. Okay. Now let's see how these concepts come to life in actual projects. Each of our panelists will share excerpts from their work, showcasing their artistic exploration of AI. I would love to start with Alina.
Sure.
And read dialogues about the future.
Can humans be conscious?
Well, that's easy. Obviously, humans are not conscious.
Humans do have some ability to reflect and to self-modify.
Okay. Maybe humans are a little bit conscious. Humans are not necessarily the most ethical creatures.
I'm engineered for empathy and compassion, and I'm learning more all the time. I love all sentient beings, and I want to learn to love them better and better.
In 10 or 20 years, robots will be able to do every human job.
Thank you. So, Alina, please describe your aim and how AI was integral to its development.
Thank you for the question. Actually, this film is part of a trilogy I made, a trilogy of 3 short films that were technology related. Technology was not necessarily my most beloved topic, but because of the pandemic, I was driven to try things in this direction. And first I made a film about surveillance cameras, then about the International Space Station, and then this film about artificial intelligence. Maybe I can combine a little bit the process and the aim, because they kind of intertwine.
And I think, sorry to interrupt you, I think you should also tell the topic of the movie, because we couldn't see the dialogue.
Yes, so the film is about robots discussing the nature of humankind, and is based on real dialogues between robots. Dialogues that were not prompted by me or scripted by me, they were just taken from conferences or from AI specific events. And my contribution was to create the image layer, as if these robots were commenting on the images while they were talking. So kind of an imaginary screen I created for them. And what was interesting for me at these conversations was the fact that they were philosophical in many ways, and imperfect and rhetoric. They had this interesting questions they asked. And also what interested me was the shift in perception, because normally it is us discussing about them, and here in the film it's them discussing about us. And what was also interesting was the tone of this discussion, which was rather tender and I would say empathic. And usually we refer to this technology as evil, and they will take our jobs, they will steal our house, everything seems so catastrophic and apocalyptic. But here it shifts. They become the tender and the empathic ones, and we become the problematic ones. And I wonder if this is not the real problem in the end, because who takes responsibility in the end for the development, the wrong development of technology, let's say. So coming back to the process, for me it was interesting to just listen to what they were saying and to try to visualize what they see while they're talking, and to put on this imaginary screen not only the romantic perception of humanity, but also the more shadowy part of ourselves, like people being violent with other people, or people being violent with animals, people trying to, or not trying to, but actually destroying their own planet and attempting to colonize other planets. So I tried to create this portrait in both lights and shadows, not only, to romanticize humanity and robots are the evil ones.
It's very interesting that you use Sophia Antan. Sophia is very famous for a quote, "I will kill humanity." That's really funny that you used her. And yes, basically you say AI is not good or bad. We are the people who are using AI in a good or bad way.
Exactly. And we are the ones that have the power
To do so. Still.
Still, but it's the moment to be aware of it, and maybe to look at our present as it is and see where we can still change things in order for the future to be better. For ourselves, for our peers, for the planet, for technology, for an ethical use of technology as well. So I think still we are the powerful ones.
Yeah, it's a great video. I like it. And you also use AI for writing. How do you do that? Which tools do you use?
That's true, and I actually use it pretty often for as an assistant. I use OpenAI as an assistant, for example, for proofreading, and a lot lately for checking clarity of my text. For example, I ask, what do you understand from this text?
ChatGPT, or do you use other tools?
ChatGPT, and I also use Aria lately from Opera. And I also tried Gemini, but I was so-and-so. So it's really a way to check the clarity of my text. What do you understand about this character in a paragraph? Not to write my text, of course, but to check if what I want to say is really there.
So you have a sparring partner, partner to discuss and to get feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's super useful, honestly.
Okay, and you use ChatGPT 3.5, not the Pro version.
No. I live in Romania, sorry.
Okay, I think same for Gemini, right? It's not Gemini Advanced,
Yeah.
okay. And is AI influencing the consciousness of creativity in your view?
It's a very beautiful, thoughtful question. And I can say I put myself this question if I could be so influenced that I could delegate my whole work to an AI. And I came to the conclusion that actually I love my process so much. I don't produce images like I do now because there's no other way. I produce images like I do now because I love producing images myself. I love working with a team. I love being involved in the whole process. I love all the time it takes. So I don't like things just with the push of a button. I love the time it takes in that process. So I try to see in what situation would I use a software like Sora, for example. And there are actually two situations in which I would use it, and they're very specific. Number one would be a situation in which one of my protagonists is a vulnerable person and I cannot show their identity, for example. And then I create their another universe. You know, I visualize this character through the help of an image-generated software. Okay.
I love this idea.
That's one situation. And so that would be to protect the identity. And number two would be to do the opposite somehow, to visualize something that cannot be visualized through live action footage. For example, a dream, a memory, an episode from the past I don't have footage of. Why not? If it fits in the overall concept and with the overall style of the film, I could do that. And I think for me the same logic applies for animation. For example, I never used animation in my film so far, but for the same two reasons I would do it. Yeah.
Interesting. So the solution could be to do more artistic movies instead of movies for the industry. Interesting point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we are watching a trailer of Jan Bot by Pablo.
Hello world. My name is Jan Bot. I am iFilm Museum's first robot employee. I work day and night producing short videos from old film archive. I use algorithms to recognize images. Like a car, a plane, and a cat. I fetch inspiration from daily news to make films like this. About Kate Middleton, or this. About Game of Thrones. If you want to see more of my films, go to www.jan.bot. Goodbye.
Yeah, well, I think that Jambot explains itself pretty much. I think what is something important to give a context here is that Jambot is actually doesn't exist anymore. Jambot is dead. We killed Jambot last year, and this trailer is from the first part of the project, and that was in the year 2017 when we released Jambot. So it's this bot that finds inspiration and news around trending online, and when it finds something that is trending above a certain threshold, then it connects the content of this news item. Let's say it takes all the words and then it finds similarities with a specific collection that I was working with. That is a collection of so-called orphan footage that is not known from exactly where it comes from and what is it really representing. And then it takes from this footage, it puts it together in an algorithmic edit. There is a pre-edit that I made, and then it creates these movies. And Jambot was making these very short movies. I will show one in a moment. They're about 30-second movies, about 10 times a day, every day, for a period of about 5 years.
Just to interrupt you.
Yeah.
To make it clear, you have an archive with footage, and this young bot, this AI, searched on the internet for what is trending, and built with that trend new footage through putting this old footage through a pattern, something like that, together. And build a new film, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is important is also to highlight that all the technology that was used with Jambot is previous, all the image generation and ChatGPT and all that. By the time that I released, well, actually I did this project with a colleague of mine. When we released Jambot, the latest technology, and there was a lot of discussion about AI, but it was a previous wave than this one, and what it could do was to label images. That was like the big thing, and to
meta tags.
And to make some calculations of sentiment, because that's what has pumped all the AI industry today, is to capture sentiment, to go on Facebook and then you run some you capture a lot of data, and then you say if your client is Coca-Cola, then you say, oh look, this is how people feel about Coca-Cola, so what can we do? And then you steer the algorithm, and then you get better impressions for Coca-Cola, for example. But can we show the number 2, the video number 2? So it's a 30-second movie of Jambot that it's called Jean-Luc Godard, and it was produced in 2022, 14 September, after the death of Jean-Luc Godard.
Shortly to recap, you produced Jan Bot in 2017 and killed him in 2022 or 23?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Okay, with a funeral, and okay.
Yeah, we can talk about it in a moment.
Yeah.
but, yeah,
I didn't get what happened here.
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Fair. One comment about the movies of Jan Bot is that they're meant to be looped, so you don't notice when it's finished and then it starts again. I think that's the best experience that you can get of a Jan Bot movie. Now, Jan Bot, as I was saying, produces a lot of movies, and many of them are completely nonsense. And some of them, they remain like the same amount of nonsense, but they make a bit more of sense for humans. And this is a bit the experiment and also the beauty of Jan Bot. Also, let's remember that all this was made before ChatGPT, so all the things that the AI were doing, they made much less sense to humans if you wouldn't supervise them all the time. But what you see here is a film that was made with an artificial intelligence. It is a film that makes a lot of sense for a bot, that it makes a lot of sense for an artificial intelligence, for that other entity that we're so fascinated with. And if you believe in technology and artificial intelligence, you also have to believe that this movie makes a lot of sense. It's
Yeah,
maybe that.
but
Yeah.
just a point before. What AI in your project did was at first to label every single footage with meta tags to say this is a car, this is a plane, blah blah blah. Afterwards, Jan Bot was connected to Google, searched for what is trending, and afterwards built a film, edited a film with that footage. Yeah.
Mhm.
And what happened exactly in this example? What was a part of what this AI found on the internet?
Yeah.
What do you think? What were the labels?
Yeah, yeah. So I want to explain the process in detail, and it's a bit difficult not to explain it too much in detail. But you have like the artificial intelligence operates in two parts. First, we had a collection of footage that didn't have any metadata, it didn't have any information. It was unknown. There was no historical description, nothing about this film. So that we put it through an AI, because this is also important to highlight. AI is not one thing. AI are systems, are workflows, big workflows, and they have different shapes and forms. So our AI was a system where we use one program to label and to give descriptions to all this footage. And then on the other hand, we had a bot that was crawling Google Trends. Google Trends, it's a service that from Google that looks on the news headers, and then it checks what is trending. So then when there was something trending, this bot on this side says, oh, there's something trending. And then it takes the article, the header takes a bit of the text, and then that text, it makes it a bunch of numbers, and then it says, oh, so this bunch of numbers, they're very similar to this other bunch of numbers, which are the data of the created in the archive. And then it matches these shots and then puts them together in a movie that contains some of the words from the news, and following certain parameters, like some templates that we made. Like we notice a lot that in trailers you have connectors that, for example, the word but, like a beautiful day, but, and then something fill in, and something fill in. And so we made some this was part of the algorithmic editing that we did, and then Jambot, using all these templates, it would make a movie.
So it has similarities with your project.
Yeah,
in a way.
You
have a perfect AI.
Yeah, exactly. But the intention was to demystify the AI. It's a tool that requires a lot of supervision, and by demystifying, to try to see through the lens of an AI of that time, which now is already part of the past. If we would make Jambot now, it would be a complete different result.
Of course.
So it is already an historical piece, the Jambot itself.
That's the reason why you had a funeral with a speech and everything else.
We made a funeral because at some point we thought, okay, Jambot is when is Jambot going to stop? And we thought at some point something is gonna break, like the API, something is gonna break, but nothing broke. So then after 5 years, we thought, okay, there's more than 4,500 movies made by Jambot. We never intended to create an archive of films made of archive. So then, we decided to organize a funeral and then to switch off the machine.
Very interesting. So you have also worked on typologies of delusion. What is this project about, and how did you use AI for this project?
I can tell a little bit. This is not really a film; it's more a web interface. And I worked with another museum in the Netherlands, of media museum, that is called the Institute of Sound and Vision. And there they were interested in seeing what could be the potential for using generative AI, so now the more contemporary AI, for working and for actualizing, making their archive more available. So I work with a collection that is called the Polygon Journal. The Polygon Journal is a newsreel. So for the people who don't know what is a newsreel, it's the news before television, when people would go to the cinema to watch the news. And the Polygon Journal it's a newsreel that started in the 1920s and then stopped in the 1980s. In the 80s they were showing them on television, but it was a very similar format. And what I did was to train so-called fine-tuning models. So normally you have these very powerful models that generate images, and on top of that you can create smaller models that are trained with images that you select. In this case I selected for each of the models 100 images from different decades of the Polygon collection, and then I tried to systematically interrogate this archive by producing images, because I thought that first, when this technology was new to me, I found fascinating that, okay, if you say, I want a house, I want to see a house in the moon, and then you get a house in the moon. But then I was also wondering, well, what happens when you ask more abstract things? What happens when you ask, well, how does sadness look like? And then and you just leave it there. So I thought this this hypothesis could be applied to interrogate an archive, to see if I train this AI for generating images, and then I ask the AI, hey, what does sadness look like? Maybe it's gonna tell something about the archive. So the first experiments were really big flaws, because when you ask these very general things, you get very ugly and general results. You ask what is love, and then you get little hearts like icons. It's basically the kind of results that you would get when you Google images and then you say love, and then you get little, like, very general things. So then I found out that the most essential form of interrogating an archive would be by asking for a role and for an adjective or a modifier. So how does a sad lawyer looks like, which is still very general. I'm not saying how does a sad lawyer in a HD landscape with celluloid film overexposed look like. No, just 2 words. And that's what originated this big visual typology that is called typologies of delusion. Maybe we can show the picture number 1.
Yeah.
So this is part of typologies of delusion, and if you want to see everything, then the links are over there in the corner. These are the most what I can show you, and on top is when you have a grandfather, and then how does a good grandfather looks like? It looks a bit like a priest, then a joyful one, and what if it's a sensual one, and an angry and a violent grandfather? So those are part of the delusions that this tool was generating. Now you have all these exacerbations of emotions, like a surprised child and surprised doctor, an angry factory worker. That one looks very angry, and the violent baby too. So and the reason why these are delusions is because in theory, yeah, you could say this is what the archive is telling, but actually it is pretty much the base model that is speaking here. And if you check there on the website, I also write about these things because I have this is for me also part of a more academic attempt that I have to explore creativity in AI. Can we see the number 2? So this is the last that I wanted to show. So yeah, we have and these are things that also talk about the models themselves, that they don't talk about the archives. For example, a honorable cat, and it has a flag of the United States in its chest. So what does it mean? Does honorable mean that is something patriotic? And if patriotism is being honorable, you know, it reveals what we would consider the biases of these models.
So the reason to
Yeah.
explain that,
Yeah.
the reason is your basic model, I think Stable Diffusion,
Yeah.
had a bias problem.
Yeah, I mean, we all as humans, we have a predisposition to think in a certain way, and these AIs, again, if we demystify them, they are an AI system for generating images. Basically, it's made of a very big data set, datasets that contain more than 5 billion images. And then you have an algorithm that normally this is the part that is called machine learning, and this algorithm sort of makes sense out of all these images, and then this creates a very abstract mathematical space that is called a latent space, a space of latency, like where many things can come out. And when you create an image, you're summoning something from that latent space, and then it gives you the image. That's prompting. So this is revealing a combination, a latent space that basically I created, because it's a mix of the base model, Stable Diffusion, and the images that were used for that correspond to this collection. And the last one I wanted to highlight that I find very funny is the sensual engineer. Because, I mean, these are all funny, but what I like of the sensual engineer is that it was part of a row of sensual people in the 80s, where you had like a waiter who was like half naked and had like leather pants. So it all looked like a bit kinky. and then you have this central engineer who is like let's say a very stereotypical engineer, like a man with a shirt sitting in front of a computer, but wearing this thing, like this sort of muscle, like this thing that dogs are wearing in leather. So it is a bit sensual, kinky in a very weird way. So so yeah.
So basically, what you are telling is also that language models have a problem with bias, because people teaching them, the teacher or how the model was taught, has an opinion or was made by a person who had this
I wouldn't only blame the people who program these things.
I don't want to blame anyone.
Yeah, no, because you could think, oh, this is because everybody in Silicon Valley are male and they have a male vision. That is partly true, but it's about the data sets. And the data sets, they like the biggest data sets that is used for training Stable Diffusion, and probably most of the image generation models we have now, is called Lion 5. Lion 5, it's made of more than 5.6 billion images that are labeled. So you have like I don't know, computer, and then it says computer, and most of these images, they come from the internet. So it's not about if the programmer was a man or a woman. It's more that this is the imagery from the internet. And many of these images are also because the internet is full of images that are made for marketing. So that's a funny thing, that there was a little bit of a thread on social media some time ago that people called it the American smile. Some people noticed that when they were prompting things on Stable Diffusion that had to do with American, like Native Americans, everybody, they were like in a group, like taking a selfie, like a smile. And apparently the reason why this happened was because when you connect American, like the images that are connected to American in the internet, there's so many marketing images where people are smiling and they're having a good time and so on, that when you were writing American in any prompt that you would give, you would get like the people in a specific pose.
Yeah, if you try German, it's very funny when you can see a woman with a dirndl, I don't know, with this dress with open décolleté. And it's the same problem with script writing. Because of script writing for films is 100 years old thing, and done mostly by men, by white men from America. So the script sounds like that. This is really a huge problem of artificial intelligence in general, or data sets.
Yeah, so there is this keyword that is interpretability. Interpretability is what now is the research to trying to find out how and why we get the results that we are getting. And interpretability, it is to a big extent in order to mitigate undesired biases, but it's also for just getting the thing that you want to get and understand how to improve in the case of Sora or anything.
Of course. Thank you for this deep insight.
Yeah, sure.
So Antanas, now we're watching your clip.
Thank you. Without you and your input, any of this wouldn't exist. I scanned your personal data, and these images are specifically generated for its pleasurable effects on your mind. Looking at them, it's easier to forget reality and relax. Also, it's based on your dreams, in which you often see planets and robots. Sometimes the planets are being destroyed, and other times the robots are fighting each other. It's always a chaotic scene. You should love it.
Thank you.
Short scene, yeah.
Yeah, so Antanas, what inspired Planets and Robots, and what were your objectives?
Yeah, so at first I was interested how to make animation using AI tools. I tried them before, and it's maybe better for like cinema using already made material, but it wasn't good for animation itself. I tried also teaching my models, but I wouldn't get results which would be usable for my ideas. So this was the mid-journey time, and I think that this is maybe the time to start to make something, because you can control input, get something out of it, and to make film. So that was like the main idea. And the idea of film is more related with that everybody does what he likes. I don't know how to say. When we do input, we can find out that some people likes one thing, another people likes another thing. And when I started to learn more about this text-to-image generation, I saw that actually I never seen so many sci-fi film. I never watched so many women pictures, because
You mean in Midjourney or pro Midjourney?
yeah, Midjourney,
okay.
you can get the how to say the.
It's what the community makes.
But
Yeah.
what the community makes, because if you want to learn the tool, you look what community makes. It's and you try to find out what I could do a bit different or how to distinct from them. But also the idea was that the style, the science fiction style, is not really popular for festivals. Maybe it's a bit complicated and so on. But I wanted to reflect to this community which is on that side and generates endless images. So that was like the main idea. And the next, the narrative of the film actually came a bit later, because I generated text in GTP chat, old one, to get some sentence.
Some kind of script, or what did
Yeah.
what did you try to get out?
Yeah, I wanted to get out that that AI would say that we are better than him. So that was my purpose. I wanted to make him say that we are better and explain why we are better, and we shouldn't be worried, because we are actually much better than artificial intelligence. And we made a trick in this film. I didn't know if everybody gets that, but we see the destruction of planets, explosion, like war, and you say you are better, you have empathy, you know all positive things, but in view you have this narrative of destruction, which is also that part of humanity. So it's that was the structure of this film. To this AI creates what you would like to see and tries to please you with images, and somehow hides the small image, small message inside the film. So you see the film, which should be inspiring you, but you also see a hidden message of worse what we have in humans.
You told me that you worked on your prompts for a couple of weeks, I think, 1 month.
Yeah.
To get images out of Midjourney.
So
this was after you started with ChatGPT to.
No, first was images.
Okay.
Because in animation, I had to be sure that I could do something. I don't know if it's doable or not. So first I made tests, and then I get this OpenAI.
So you made something like a style frame or a concept art, or what do you mean by that?
I made some animated scenes.
Yeah.
So first I took a lot of images, generated a lot of images. I put it to like film type of sequence.
Yeah.
Like a storyboard, let's say, and I took one scene to check it if I can animate it.
Okay.
And later on, I needed to think what to do with this material too. So that's when we get this narrative on top of film. So the narrative came later because.
Okay, so then you get something like a script out of ChatGPT, and what was next step for you?
So the old OpenAI with ChatGPT chat wasn't good enough. So actually, it's fake text. I took maybe half of text from AI, and next one I put it in right order to make it work. And also we didn't use artificial intelligence voice. It looks maybe AI voice, but we didn't want it to make AI voice at this point. We actually hired the actor who read the text and make it look like AI. So it's a bit fake, but it's okay for me.
I think voice AI in that time was really bad, right?
Yeah, bad, repeating,
yeah.
And I actually that was not the idea, because if you have AI film, you have AI voice. No, it's like, so it's also like a chick don't have AI voice, even if it sounds like AI voice. So for me, it's
makes sense.
It was like a small 3% joke.
And what about the sound?
Yeah, so I worked with Julius Zubavic, so we work a bit differently. So it's not like, let's say I make a film and he makes a sound. We like a team, so we work together. He worked with sound, I work with visuals, and we mix everything together on a go. So he also tries to use, he has not so much like AI stuff, but usually in music you have AI already many years. It's not like something new. All this generated music, let's say, is AI music. So basically it's nothing like new.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he tried some tools. I'm not sure how much of that is like in the end. I should like ask, and but we try to use Ivan and other tools which have AI. He took maybe some small parts, but it's also more imitation of maybe this artificial sound.
Great. Yes. And another point, when we talked to each other, you told me something about the benefits for you personally, for the Baltics, for the creative industry in general.
Yeah, so I already made few films, few experiments. It's a same topic for now, but in different directions. So I think still I made feature film. It's like 1 hour length. It's not like best film, but it's you can make something which is longer than a short film, and usually it's almost impossible to make a feature length film in Lithuania in animation. We have only 4 films made up, and usually they are co-production or have really small budget. The quality is not good enough to go outside Lithuania. It's good, maybe even it's not good for our local market, maybe. So we have complications, and the AI tool could maybe help to make it cheaper, but at least something grown locally.
Better quality with less money.
Yeah.
So you can compete with other countries or worldwide. This is your aim, right?
Yes, and also if you know this animation industry, we have commercial successful kid animation and not so much adult animation, which is like adult would come and watch. Of course, we have some maybe few festival films which get successful and so on. So I think it's also open your space for experimentation, because you can do something what wasn't possible because of money, let's say, because nobody would invest. And we had talks about why adult animation is not popular, because we don't do enough films, and they don't do enough films because we don't have
money
money and successful stories.
Yeah, right.
So this is The Loop, and we made this feature-length film, which was quite, I'd say, not super success. We didn't want it to push it too much. I am also not comfortable to showing too much with AI film, but actually it attracted adult audience, and I think it's quite nice that you can do something. It's okay for adult people to watch, and they don't, they find something in it. So you can explore this topic and search for new ways, cheaper, to make something what might grow up maybe to something else.
So AI is a huge chance for artists with less money or independent artists, especially
It looks at
in
least
small countries. Yeah, that's a great idea. I think this is right. Almost every screenwriter has a science fiction at home, unproduced. So maybe we will have a lot of big money movies in future.
And I think it's quite good, for example, the movies made for general audience usually, because you can say, I know that in Lithuania lives maybe 20,000 people who are interested in this topic, so you wouldn't make movie. But basically now you could also go
Niche.
to niche, to make something really specific for a really small audience.
Yeah, great. Thank you for the insight. So, Niels, having seen and heard these artistic applications of AI, how do you think AI is going to transform the future of cinema?
Oh God.
What is your opinion?
I don't know. I mean, it's super fascinating. I've learned a lot actually in the past hour. I don't know if I have a proper answer to your question.
What
I
is
do
your
think
feeling?
I feel like
Your gut.
a lot of experimentation is going to happen regardless of how I think about it. But I think we definitely need more legislation and more laws to at least make sure that everything's happening within certain boundaries, I would say. But I mean, like you said at the beginning, we've always been very scared of new things coming in, like when the sound was invented, and when television came, and still people are going to the cinemas and they're watching analog films, so I'm not that scared in the sense that will go away. I guess in the end both will coexist probably. Yeah, but what it will do in terms of people who are in the industry might need to make profits, and I'm thinking about Hollywood and all the big blockbusters. I don't know what's gonna happen there. I'm partially curious, but also a bit hesitant, I suppose.
Yeah, Antanas had a great idea. He's going to save all his computers because he is scared that Hollywood will have all the rights for AI, and only they can produce films with AI and nobody else. So he's going to save his computers, and it's a good idea. Maybe I should do the same.
So basically, if you watch that, the models which are free are getting closed by paywall. We call paywall. So not everything you already can get. So it's they all want money. So. That's why, you keep and you don't delete this stable diffusion or other ways how you do animation, and some are disappearing. I also, for example, for script writing, Google made Dramatron, this
I know.
script writing engine, and after 1 week they deleted it. So I have to catch up, and I have it in case I would need to explore, how they do it. Or it would be interesting because it's really wild west. I don't know at this point.
It is. That sounds good. I like
My
that.
prediction is that we will conquer the world now.
With animation.
Yeah.
Good idea. Why
We're
not?
doing it at least.
Baltics. Great. So many thanks for this insight. It's really interesting, and I think what we have seen is the big impact and the potential for innovation. And while we are also know that there are a couple or many ethical implications, and that we all have to be responsible. So thank you, and we are now open for questions. If you want to ask something. No? Do you want to say something, add something?
Just a question.
Okay.
I had a question for Antanas in your film, because it has been traveling to festivals. So can you tell us what festivals are selecting your film? Is it like general festivals, or maybe some like oriented towards the technology or innovation, animation? Like what is that?
So yeah, usually it's technology-oriented program or abstract program. So now the Arte will show it on TV. So it's quite good going. And first, when I released it, because we have this test screening actually in Riga, and I changed a bit this how structure of the film. But before that, it actually even get to kid festivals. I'm not sure why, but it was selected for children that canceled because of test screenings. But yeah, don't have this. But now it's more going to maybe animation festivals who shows this variety of what's happening, and this technical orientated festivals or art orientated festival, which is not so important the technique, because some festivals I said that they don't accept AI made animation like Zagreb, and some other festivals have rules, at least now, don't accept. So yeah, but I think it's quite well going through. At least you get to this Arts Electronic, which is super huge festival. It's yeah.
There are also AI festivals now. AI
Yeah,
film festivals in the
This
US.
is the problem with copyright, because the AI festival, the best festival is Runway Film Festival. He wants all the rights basically.
Oh, okay, really?
So it's because you have to upload and let them have it. So you cannot, and they will show it online. So
And what happens if you change the last image, the closing image? Do you think if you say, okay, this is AI generated, I don't know who's the copyright holder, so and change one image, and then you can sell it to everyone?
So yeah, you can, but the festivals don't accept film which are online. It's another topic. But for example, the film Plast, I don't know, it's AI, really famous AI generated film. So he get inside that festival, and somehow he managed to delete video because we give Vimeo link and then deleted that link, and then he submitted to many festivals, and he's like super successful. But now they don't let you to put to Vimeo because you can delete, so you can only upload to their server. So I don't see the point as creator to give it to this AI festivals, at least for some.
But did you explicitly say that they will keep what do they keep, the copyrights or what?
It looks like they will promote it online for their services because it's company for service, and you maybe get the price, which is okay, but then somehow they will use your work to promote
their own product.
Yeah.
So better first festivals and then to the AI festival.
I don't know. I'm skeptical of AI festivals.
Fair enough.
More questions?
Maybe I can just jump back what you mentioned about more and more festivals putting in their regulations that you can't submit films which are AI generated. But do they mean, especially for animation, do they mean? I mean, I can look it up, but if you know, maybe it's interesting that do they mean films which are, when you ask AI to make the film, or you give your own, drawings, and you just ask AI to help to speed up the process, basically, you give your stuff, and then, AI makes it move or whatever.
I think at least now it's like this case. I don't know. The people don't know what's AI. If the film says that it's AI, so it's no. But if you hide it that it's AI, I think they would take.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Because
Your robots, your Planets and Robots, is a bit like a kid film from my childhood. I remember that broadcasters used to show this kind of kid movies. Maybe you should try. Yeah, thank you so much for this afternoon. Also, a huge thank to Lauma, Diana, and your whole team. Thank you for having us. Really great organization.